Hello people, welcome to another episode of Grand Football TV, and it is your host Mr. Chicks. How are we doing? I hope you're having a wonderful time. Yes, we are into Game Week 11. But before we talk about Game Week 11, guys, as is custom, we'll look at Game Week 10 and how we have done as a league, as a community, and see what we've done before we look at Game Week 11. Okay, let's kick off. Newcastle versus Arsenal. Not a good day for the Arsenal fans like myself. Not a good day. Arsenal were very, very poor and ended up losing that game 1-0. And no one predicted Newcastle to win 1-0. Obviously, you would imagine everyone would have thought at least Arsenal should have won that one. So no one predicted Newcastle to win 1-0. So we'll move on to the next game. Bournemouth versus Manchester City. Now, this gave me a lot of hope for the future when I see Man City lose to Bournemouth 2-1. They lost 2-1 to Bournemouth. And Finn, someone was asking, how come Finn was able to predict that but not able to predict for his own team, which is Arsenal? Yeah, he predicted the correct score of 2-1. So well done to Finn for getting that one correct. Every other person got it all wrong because everyone else went for Man City to win, you would imagine. Yeah. Ipswich versus Leicester. Ipswich versus Leicester. That one finished in a draw, and no one predicted a draw for that game. Funny enough, I would have thought one person at least would have predicted a draw, but no one predicted a draw. Good game by both teams. I know Leicester would be the happier team because they came from behind and scored late on in the game to draw the game when Leicester thought they had held on for a win, their first win. So Ipswich are still looking for their first win in the competition in the Premier League. Liverpool versus Brighton. Now, this was one that didn't make me too happy, but Liverpool fans, they'll be happy with their team. They're doing really well, and a slot is cooking. He went to the Champions League as well after this win and still cooked. You know, so he's top of the Premier League and he's top of the Champions League. What a time to be a Liverpool fan. Yeah. So yeah, they won this game 2-1. Funny enough, I predicted the right score. I went for Liverpool 2-1. So, and I was the only one actually. I was the only one who got that score correct. So well done to me. Yeah. So yeah, we move on to the next game. Nottingham Forest versus West Ham. I had back-to-back correct scores, guys, because I predicted 3-0 to Nottingham Forest. I knew Forest were cooking, and West Ham, they were just lucky to get that win. Like I said in the last video, they were lucky to get that win against Man United. Yeah, Man United. So I knew that this game, they'll probably, you know, not come out all guns blazing and lose this one, and exactly what happened. And I got the correct score. Come on, you know, if you saw my shorts, I did a shorts, you know, celebrating my first correct prediction. I've been doing this for 10 weeks, guys, and not getting a lot of predictions right, but I was happy with the back-to-back correct predictions. That's why I did a short. Go and watch it. Yeah. Southampton versus Everton. Southampton versus Everton. Southampton registering a win. They got their first, is this their first win? I'm sure it's their first win. They got their win against Everton, a 1-0 victory. And shout out to Osita, who was the only one as well who got this one correct. So shout out to Osita. Well done. 1-0 to Southampton. Wolverhampton versus Crystal Palace. Wolverhampton versus Crystal Palace. I watched that game. It was a very interesting game, and I felt for Wolves because they just can't seem to get a break. They finished the game 2-2, and you would have thought that this game they would get a decent result. That's why I predicted they would win, but they're still waiting for that first win. I mean, they've got some decent games coming up. You would imagine out of their next 3 games, you would say they should get a win from one of them. You would imagine. So anyway, shout out to a few people for this one. A lot of guys got the correct score of 2-2. King T, well done. Osita, well done. David, Nyema, and Eddie Great, well done to you guys. You all predicted 2-2 for this game. Wow, a lot of 2-2 predictors. I think this is the highest number I've seen in a while. There are 5 of them. 5 people predicted 2-2. Tottenham versus Aston Villa. Wow, Tottenham turned up for this game. I didn't think they would, but they did. And they ended up winning this game 4-1. In as much as they conceded first, they went down 1-0, but still ended up winning the game 4-1. Dominic Solanke getting a brace in that one. And Maddison with a good free kick. So they're looking good. They're looking like they're coming back in the Premier League. Although I know they lost in the Europa. This is after the Europa game, but they also gave a good account of themselves. They didn't just... that game, they should have lost by more. You've got to be honest, the Galatasaray game. But we're not talking about Europa. We're talking about the Premier League. And they lost that one. And as you would imagine, no one predicted the correct score. So we move on to the next game. Man United versus Chelsea. This was our star game. And no one got the correct score of 1-1 because everyone thought either Man United would win or Chelsea would win. Chelsea, they haven't had that many draws this season, so everyone thought they're either winning or they're losing the game. Same as Man United. So it ended up in a draw, 1-1 draw. Caicedo with a beautiful goal and Fernandes with a penalty. I'm sure both teams wouldn't have been happy with that result, but that's what they got. Yeah, and the last game for the weekend, Fulham versus Brentford, which was played on a Monday. Fulham versus Brentford, and that game was interesting as well because Brentford were leading for a very long period of that game, and Wilson came on in the 82nd minute and changed it for Fulham, getting 2 late goals for Fulham and making them winners at the end. So shout out to King T again and Nyema. So these were the 2 people who got that correct score of Fulham beating Brentford 2-1. Yeah. So that's game week 10. And after game week 10, the table remains Yema is in front with 262 points. And second now, a clear second, is Finn. Finn, you remember, well, I'm not sure you'd know, but the Grand Football Pundit would know. He's an old-time winner. I'm sure he was the winner of the very first one we did. And he's coming back now. He's looking good this season. He's in second place with 251. But take nothing away from Osita as well, who has always been there, but always close, but no cigar. He's in third with Chris. And they have 243 points. So it is tightly contested. And there was something I looked at after 10 games, guys. After 10 games for us who do the predictions, Yema sits in front as well with the most correct scores. He's predicted 15 correct scores after game week 10. Wow. And in joint second is Okay and and Fane. They both have 13 correct scores after 10 games. So well done to them. Well done to them. We'll not shout out the rest. When you get to that point, we'll shout you out. After game week 20, if you're up there, you will hear your name. Okay, let's move on. Game week 11. Game week 11 is here. And we'll be looking at a few games. The 10 games, the 10 fixtures for game week 11. And it starts off with Brentford playing Bournemouth. Brentford versus Bournemouth. And Brentford, will probably be hurting after that last game where they lost towards the, dying minutes of that game. Well, they should have either held on for a draw or at least held on for that win, because they were leading up until the 90th minute. So it's not good losing in that way. So I see them coming to this game. Bournemouth, buoyed by that win against Man City, would see themselves not losing against teams around them. So this one will be a very, very tricky game. Very tricky game. And I would say that Brentford would win that game 2-1. I'm going for a Brentford win 2-1. Brentford to beat Bournemouth 2-1. Crystal Palace versus Fulham. Crystal Palace versus Fulham. And Crystal Palace drew in their last game. Fulham, just like we just talked about, winning in the dying minutes of their own game. This game's going to be tricky. It's hard to call who might win, but I want to pick a winner, and I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Crystal Palace winning that one 2-1. West Ham versus Everton. You would imagine West Ham will be hurting from that 3-0 loss to Forest, but that was away from home. Now they're coming back to their fans at home. They would want to give them something to cheer about, because Lopetegui hasn't really had the best of times as a West Ham manager yet. So he might want to not go into the international break losing another game. So I would imagine that he would want to win this one, and I see West Ham winning. I think this is the last of Kudus's suspension, I think. But anyway, he's probably not in this game, and I'm going to go still for a West Ham win. I'm going to go for West Ham 2-0, because at Everton, they're struggling to actually score goals. So I don't see if it's not coming from the likes of Dwight McNeil or someone like that, they probably struggle to get a goal in the game. So I'm seeing them losing that one 2-0. Wolves versus Southampton. Every week I back Wolves to win, and they end up not winning, or they draw or whatever. This week I'm sticking my neck out again. I'm going for a Wolves win, and because they're playing Southampton, I'm going for an emphatic win. I'm going for Wolves to beat Southampton 3-0. I hope they do it. I hope they do it. Yeah. Brighton versus Manchester City. This is the worst I've seen Man City in a long time. They've lost 3 games on the trot. Lost to Tottenham in the Carabao Cup, lost to Bournemouth in the Premier League, and lost to Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League. So would they make it 4 out of 4? I'm not sure. I don't think they would lose this game, but I don't think they would win either. So I'm going for a draw. I'm going for a 1-1 draw. I see Man City coming out to try and win, and Brighton capitalizing on those, spaces to get behind them. I see the game ending in a draw. Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Another tricky game, and I'm going to go for a draw in this game, because Liverpool, they had a beautiful Champions League game against Leverkusen where they won 4-0. So they're cruising now. But this game, Aston Villa, they're not in good state of form. Now they also lost in their Champions League game away from home, so I see them wanting to make amends, trying to come back to their winning ways in the Premier League. But Liverpool will be too strong. That's why I'm going for a draw. Manchester United versus Leicester. So this will be Ruud van Nistelrooy's last game as interim manager, and I'm sure he will want to finish this on a high. He hasn't had a loss since he took over, and he'll want to keep that record so that if he's going to another club, they will be looking at those games he's played for Man United and saying he can come to us and do something for us as well. So I see Man United beating Leicester 3-1. Man United beating Leicester 3-1. Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle. Forest are the informed team at the moment. They're flying. Chris Wood's flying. Even their defense is really solid. So I see this game, coming out in favor of Nottingham Forest. They'll probably do really well and get their goals early, and before Newcastle knows what hit them, it might be too late. So I'm going to go for Nottingham Forest to win this one 3-1. Forest to win 3-1. Tottenham Hotspurs versus Ipswich. On paper, you would say this should be an easy game for Tottenham, but Ipswich, they've played well against the big teams, I must say. So they might give Tottenham a run for their money in this game, but I'm still going to go for a Tottenham win, in as much as it hurts me, saying a Tottenham win, but it's against Ipswich, so I see Ipswich posing a lot of threat, but not enough to take them over the line. So I'm going to say Tottenham will win this game 3-1. I'm going for a Tottenham win 3-1. And the big game of the weekend, Chelsea versus Arsenal. Big game, man. I don't know what Arsenal team would turn up right now, because if it's the one from the last 3-4 games, they will definitely lose this game. And if the Chelsea that just beat Noah's Ark 8-0, we're in for some big show. Although you can argue the players who played against Noah in their conference league will probably not play, or maybe just a handful of them would be in that game. But Chelsea would be a very, very big game. But Arsenal will be, confident going into this game, because they haven't lost there since 2018, guys. So that's a long time to hold a stronghold against Chelsea. So Chelsea might be playing at the back of their mind, and if they concede, they might just say, oh, it's happening again, and just maybe not recover quickly to get themselves a result in the game. So I'm going to go for Arsenal to get themselves back and win this one 2-1. I'm hoping they win more than 2-1. I'm hoping they win comfortably, so that everyone goes into the international break, ready to come back and just kick on from there, provided all the other results go their way. I'm hoping this weekend will be a good one. Yeah. Right, what are your predictions, guys? You can leave yours in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Don't check this.